So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I decided that since it is ALS Awareness Month, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I really wanted to talk to you about ALS to spread awareness for this disease. I'm going to be donating 100% of the proceeds of this video to the ALS Therapy Development Institute. I've done some research on ALS charities over the years, and I found that this charity is the one that's putting the most money into actually trying to find a cure. As I said before, I know this is not my typical content, but I felt the need to get this information out there, so I hope you'll watch. So I thought the best way to do this would be to create a cute page, because we all know I love cute pages, but this is a really important one to me. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about ALS and about my experience with the disease. First things first, ALS stands for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. So if you don't know what ALS is, it's basically a neurodegenerative disease, and it kills the motor neurons in your brain. And the motor neurons are what make your muscles work. So the brain sends signals to the muscles through the motor neurons, and when they stop functioning, your brain can't tell your muscles to work. So you become basically slowly paralyzed. You slowly lose the ability to walk, to use your hands, to talk, and then eventually to breathe. But through all this, you keep your mental abilities, so you are aware of what's happening to you. So some of you might know I have very firsthand experience with this horrible disease. So my late husband, Daniel, was a former Navy SEAL. He was strong, he was healthy, he took care of himself, he exercised, he ate right, all of that stuff. And we really did not know what was coming for us. So in late 2016, he started having some weird symptoms. He had a hard time raising his hands and keeping them up for any length of time. And like I said, he was a strong guy, so that was unusual. He also had some trouble when he was laying down in bed at night. When he was lying down, it was hard for him to take a deep breath. All of this was very strange, but then one day he was making his daughter breakfast and his hand didn't quite move properly. He also had a lot of muscle cramps and muscle twitching all over his body. Now, that being said, a lot of people have these things, and that is not an indicator of ALS. It's just the combination of all of this stuff that became a little bit concerning, actually a lot concerning. After a few months of really intensive testing, Daniel was officially diagnosed with ALS in January of 2017. Of course, this was extremely devastating for him and for his family and for me and for everyone who knew Daniel, because he was an amazing guy. ALS is a diagnosis of exclusion, which basically means you have to go through every single test possible until they've exhausted everything, and then they lump you into the ALS category. The reason ALS is such a devastating diagnosis is there is no cure, and ALS is 100% fatal. Typical life expectancy of an ALS patient is 2 to 5 years. Daniel, unfortunately, only made it 1.5 years after his diagnosis. After diagnosis, I quit my job to take care of him. Being a caregiver to someone with ALS is pretty much the hardest job in the world. So if you have been affected by ALS in any way in your family or someone you really care about, you will know how devastating this illness is, because someone will go from just being completely normal to progressively getting worse and worse and losing the ability to do everything. They are just prisoners in their own bodies, and it's just so very sad. And that's why I wanted to spread some awareness of this disease, because I really, really hope that in my lifetime we can find a cure. Another thing I want to mention is my aunt was diagnosed with ALS while Daniel was still alive, and she is currently fighting, but hers is different because everyone's ALS seems to be different. My aunt has a very slow progression, whereas Daniel's progression was very fast. ALS is 90% sporadic, which means that 90% of people who develop ALS do not have any family history, and they still do not know what causes this disease, and there are so many variables involved. it can happen to anyone, and that's the scary thing about it. So the typical age is 40 to 70 when you're diagnosed, but there are instances of teenagers being diagnosed with it. There are definitely younger people being diagnosed all the time with this disease. And it's not something that you ever expect will happen to you. I barely knew what it was when it happened to us, and I learned so much more than I ever wanted to learn about it. I'm telling you this because we need to find a cure, because it could happen to anyone. It can happen to you or me or, anyone that you know. They don't have to have a family history. Every 90 minutes, someone else is diagnosed with this disease, and over 5,000 people a year are diagnosed with it. I think the statistic is at any one time, there's at least 30,000 people with this disease. And that's scary because they don't live that long. So 30,000, is a lot. So military people are more likely to get it. I think it's about 60% more likely or something like that. There's been theories about exposure, traumatic head injuries, that kind of thing, but no one really knows. And that's what's so frustrating. So as I said before, I'm going to be donating 100% of the proceeds of this video to ALS TDI. And I'm also going to put a donate button on this video. So if you have any interest in helping out, you can donate through that button, and that will take you right to that donation page. Thank you so much for watching this. I really, really appreciate you listening to me talk about it, because it's something that's very, very important to me. And like I said, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I just didn't think that I was strong enough yet, but I feel like it's time. So let me know in the comments if you know anyone or your family has been affected by ALS. My heart goes out to you, and my DMs are always open if you need to talk. All right, have a good day, everyone. Bye.